Welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. Advice, thoughts, and stories from a married couple on cybersecurity, technology, and life in general. Now here are your hosts, Didi and Lital.
Hello and welcome to the Didi and Lital Show. What's up, Didi?
We have a quarterback. At least this week we have a quarterback. As we're recording this show,
We as Patriots?
we as Patriots.
Okay.
We are all
We are
I
all
don't know
Patriots.
what do you mean
Exactly.
by we? Yeah.
We.
You and I?
No. You.
I don't care.
You don't care. But Omri already wants a Drake mate jersey, and he says he's better looking than Tom Brady. He is good looking. That you can take the Drake May is good looking part out of Drake May.
Maybe we'll put pictures so people will know.
if you
So
don't-
I would know.
If you don't know who Drake May is, you're
I have
not
no
worthy.
idea.
You're not worthy.
I am not worthy.
Yes. So Patriots won 4 in a row. Hopefully they will not shit the bed in Cleveland. Or that Cleveland is coming here, right?
Right, Foxborough. Yeah.
Yes. You know how we call Cleveland, right?
The mistake by the lake.
The mistake on the lake. The mistake by the lake. Yes. So we have football, and it's a good thing we have football. That's a very Ron smile.
Looking
Yeah.
at Drake May.
Yes.
It's like,
Yes.
okay.
Never mind. Get Omri to show you. He's good looking.
Is it
And-
local? Where is it from?
No, he's from some place.
California?
Minnesota?
Uh,
Whatever.
He went to North Carolina.
He went to
We know
North
that.
Carolina. We know that because Bill, that's the other part of the sports update that makes me very happy. Bill is shitting the bed with the Tar Heel when they said, oh, the 33rd team, blah,
He's
blah.
cute.
He's very good looking.
Young.
Yes, he is young. He's like 22. So we have a quarterback. He's winning the games. Very impressively, by the way. And the Bruins are shitting the bed. 3 straight wins, 6 straight losses. I was there at the game yesterday. I was on TV.
Yeah. Oh, we
Yes.
can send
We can send producer
picture.
Dave the picture. I was on TV. It's right after the Mason Laurie power
You
play
know what's
goal.
happening next week?
What's happening next?
I'm going to a Bruins game with my company.
Yes.
You know what's happening every time I go to a Bruins game.
Yes.
You know what happens.
They lose big time. Big time.
But this one, will they lose to the Islanders? It's
Oh yes.
gonna be-
Oh yes. They're gonna lose to
Okay.
the Islanders. This is gonna be a disaster.
Okay.
So, Patriots awesome. Bruins suck. Celtics. Dave, what do you think? I say suck, but I'll let you.
Celtics, is that what you're asking
Yeah.
about? Inauspicious beginning. I mean, not a very encouraging beginning.
Nope.
What's strange about it is I don't recognize a lot of players on the team now.
Yes.
Like, it's usually, with the old Celtics from the 80s, or take any team, the Bulls or the Pistons, from year to year, you knew pretty much the team was returning if they were a good team.
Yeah.
And we win the championship. Then last year, it took a step back, but made the playoffs, still a good team. And now
Nobody.
everybody's gone.
Nobody.
Right.
Yes. So we have Brown, we have White, we have the angry gerbil with what's his name, Pritchard,
Right?
and that's about it. No,
Yeah, that's those are the stars right there.
those
Yeah.
are the stars. Yes. So sad. So Vegas puts them at 500 over and under. Do you take the over or the under?
What's the over under?
500. Like 40 games.
I would take the over. I think Jaylen Brown can carry them to a record better than 500, but after that, I don't know.
Yep.
You going under?
After the start, yes, I'm going under.
Oh boy.
Cool. Awesome.
So, well, while we were kind of not recording and having old episode come in, peace broke up in the Middle East.
Broke out.
Peace
Broke out.
Yeah.
So this is our episode for today. Our episode for today is focused
on summarizing 2 years of war that might have ended. Nothing in the Middle East is ever ending, so ended for now. We wanted to give our take for the end of the war, what happened, and how
Also-
to think about it, and how to think about what's going to come up in
Also,
the
what we've
future.
learned. Also,
And what we learned.
the things that we've learned through this, and that we were not aware of. And on one hand, it's sad. On the other hand, it's good that we learn these things now, not when our kids left college and we didn't know that they were misguided and things like that. But I'm already cheating towards this.
Okay. So, how do you want to start?
I want to start with a very quick recap to give people context, because people forget the context, because right now everybody sees the pro-Palestine protests, and yesterday there was somebody taking a picture in a kafia in TD Garden and things like that, and people forget how it started, and people need a reminder that if they're still pushing some agendas, they need to question how anti-Semite are they. So here's how it started. On October 7th, it was Simchas Torah's. That's why we
Holiday.
holiday.
It was a weekend.
Yes, and this is where the miscommunication starts, and you'll hear this a lot. There was a massive barrage of rockets going into Israel, and some people will claim that this is how the 1,200 people got killed, which is not true.
Not true.
Not true. Or they were killed by Apache gunships. There were no Apache gunships, so they couldn't do that. About 6,000 terrorists crossed the border into Israel, killing people in kibbutzes.
Massacring them.
Massacring them.
Brutally.
Brutally massacring
Hundreds of people in a festival, which is like,
Lollapalooza, Burning Man.
Burning Man, people kind of taking some hallucinating drugs and having fun and dancing. They were brutally murdered. Women were raped. There was a huge massacre at the Nova Festival. By the way, if you're in the Boston area, in the next week, there's still an exhibition that tells the story of the Nova Festival. Highly recommend checking it out. It's actually going to different places in the U.S. Highly recommend it. It's powerful story. Also, of the survival, the help they gave each other, and there are a lot of people that came out of it, and they go out and tell the story that people should know, the world should be aware of. Yep. So that was a horrible day, and a huge failure to the IDF, the security capabilities of Israel that were not ready for that. It was a completely surprise, even though in retrospect, there were signs of it. So at that specific day, a complete defeat of the IDF and everything the security agencies, the different forces were supposed to do. Basically, that could be kind of a case study for crisis going, because everything could go wrong went wrong.
Yep.
But the day after, Israel kind of came out of it, and
it took a couple of days.
It took a couple of days.
So this is an important thing to start tracking October 8th, because 3 or 4 things happened on October 8th. And this is something that people don't know. On October 8th, there were still terrorists inside Israel.
Hundreds of them still fighting.
So everybody that
they took over, like, for example, one police station at a city called Sderot, which is miles into Israel. There were hours of active fighting over there that went into the late of October 8th still.
Yeah, there was fighting even at the pathway to Ashkelon.
Yeah, and in kibbutzim, and still hostages, and all kinds of situations over there.
Yes, so this needs to be very clear. On October 8th, there was no bombing of Gaza. There was no
retaliation, and we were still defending our own cities genocide. And towns and kibbutzim.
Exactly. And on October 8th, the 33 student groups in Harvard issued a letter blaming everything on Israel and saying Israel is genociding the Palestinians.
In London, in campuses, you already started seeing all kinds of protests about Israel genocide.
Yes. Alicia Keys put something about hang gliding and things like that. There were a whole bunch of people.
There was a Cornell professor said he was exhilarated by the movement that he've seen. So that was kind of out there without Israel even starting to do anything other than trying to defend its people.
Yes.
Which means that it was there before.
Yes.
Like people were ready to come up with this.
Yes.
Which is shocking.
Which is
for us was shocking.
Which is something that it seems now with intelligence coming out that there is SJP activity that knew that this is going to happen, and and people were ready to.
SJP is Student for Justice in Palestine. It's the student pro-Palestinian student clubs around all academic institutions in the United States, and they were ready to go. It's like the Hamas prepared his strike on October 7th. The night after, they were ready to go in all universities with a playbook that you've seen is identical. They had the same tents for the encampments. They had the same signs. They had the same kafias. Like, it was a well-organized, premeditated plan, which have been in the works for years, probably, and we were not aware of it. So
we were not aware of
that was a full new front that opened up.
Yes, and Konstantin Kisin and Barry Weiss have a term for this. And when they were talking to some of these people, even early on, they said, these seemed like professional protesters in some cases, which is something that you need to kind of put a bookmark on, because as we were still talking about October 8th. The other thing that happened on October 8th was something that will change the way things are forever, was the lukewarm, somewhat intervention of Hezbollah into the conflict. On one hand, clearly they were not in sync with Hamas, or were not ready, or were not willing to commit this. They started firing rockets, started shooting missiles, anti-tank missiles into the local kibbutzim,
but they didn't. The big fear in Israel at the time was that they will do the same like Hamas and invade, and they have, at least it was assumed at the time, they had more professional troops.
Based on what they found?
Bigger, they have the Radwan forces, which are well-trained terrorist group trained in Iran, that were ready to come and invade the northern part of Israel. And the worry at the time was that they're going to do the same like Hamas did. They didn't. They just started a barrage of rockets, daily rockets, a lot of them, which made Israel evacuate everyone living in the northern part of Israel. But they didn't invade and didn't do anything beyond that.
Yep. And that kind of was the beginning of the end for them, which at that point in time we didn't know.
We didn't know.
But that was the beginning of the end for them. The other one that really early on started kind of, we never knew about them, was the Houthis, if you remember. Like in the first week, they started doing stuff there in the Gulf. We were back then ignoring this because the country was on fire.
They were basically stopping ships from, getting into the Suez Canal, completely ruining trade through the Red Sea, basically impacting the economy of Egypt that relies a lot on that. And then later started also with daily drones to Israel, drone attacks, and some missile attacks.
But
never knew of the Yemenis.
But that took a while.
We kind of
brushed it
got
off.
to know a new enemy, the Houthis, the Yemenis. Let's move on.
So we were talking. I said the three things that happened was, one is the protest in the protests in the campuses.
In campuses in the West.
In the West.
I mean, basically, Israel was now in fight with Hezbollah in the north, with Houthis, Iran that basically sponsors the entire thing, with the Gaza, which is the main problem at the time. And now we also have the universities, the global kind of propaganda war, and all that.
Yeah.
Anything I'm missing?
No.
Yeah. So I think.
And I think I also learned of the impact of DEI. I was ignoring DEI at that point in time, but I then they discovered that what is DEI, which I didn't know. Now I do.
Okay. Let's put it aside for a second.
Yes.
I think what was interesting is that early in the war, Bibi Netanyahu had his, at the time, everybody was so shocked and, morale was so low. And he said something that now in retrospect, 2 years after, is the truth. He said, this is horrible. We are starting a war. We were dragged into this war, but now that we are in this war, we're going to change the Middle East forever.
Yeah.
And he just said it, and I think nobody thought what it means, what he means. It's just, a rhetoric for his base or whatever. But I think now, 2 years after, this is the truth. The amazing thing is that 2 years in, the Middle East is completely different. And I want to, no matter what you think about Israel, no matter what you think about its government, whatever you think about Bibi, whatever, let's put it aside. I want to say something that I think to explain why everything that happened was consequential and it had to happen. So think about Israel as this little dude finding himself in a really rough neighborhood or in prison. When you are like, you get yourself in prison, what if you are a weak dude and you're being seen as weak? The one thing you should set is that you're not weak, you're strong. So you go and punch the strongest guy. Middle East is worse than the situation in prison. And Israel's existence as a tiny place with less than 10 million people in a very hostile, probably the most hostile neighborhood in the world, basically relies on deterrence. And the fact that 3,000, 6,000, I don't know, whatever, people with kalach and RPGs could just walk into Israel is not just unimaginable, it is a threat to its existence, because it means, like Hezbollah thought, like the Iranian, that we're weak. We're very weak, that Israel's spirit is weak, that you can break Israel. And the most important thing that Israel had to regain is to regain its power, to regain internally the feeling that we are strong enough, and then most importantly, regain the respect and fear of everyone in this neighborhood. And throughout this 2 years of war, Israel managed to do it. It, with the pages and later on the decapitation of the entire Hezbollah leadership, including Nasrallah, with one strike, and then completely removing Hezbollah in a swift, tough war, but swift war, was amazing. Hezbollah was the biggest threat on Israel for years, and the fact that talks about demilitarization of Hezbollah, even that it's possible to even talk about it, it's unimaginable. Nobody in Lebanon ever thought about it. There was no prime minister in Lebanon for years because of Hezbollah. Just the removal enabled a prime minister to stand up, and now they have political leadership in the country. So that was fundamental stage.
Let's capture events one by one of things that happened.
You like the chronological. I just go into the big picture.
So if you want to go in the big picture, let's talk about specific events. Here are events.
Okay.
First event that should be marked is the testimony of 3 university heads in.
You're jumping to the U.S. front.
The U.S. front is as important because I think we need to think about the fact that Hamas won the election for Trump.
I think so. I want to start actually before we go into that. I want to give a big statement, and then we can and you can disagree. You can agree. I think Israel won the war in the Middle East and lost the war in the West, or at least has a very long way to go with the propaganda war and everything else that is going in terms of public opinion.
You're quoting Douglas Murray.
I didn't quote. I think I didn't listen to him lately. Even though if I'm quoting him, it's only because I love him, and he's always right. Always right. And obviously that's a big problem. But before we get into the opinion wars and the propaganda, on the ground in the Middle East, the fact that there is no Syria. We didn't even get into talking about Iran, but the destruction of the nuclear program, letting U.S. participate with us, or I don't know, letting U.S. deciding to bomb Fordow with the request of Israel. The fact that it happened, it's amazing. Never done before. Never happened before. That showing the world that it's not only us, but the Americans will come and support us. It's a big deal and a big way to show who is the strong kid in town. So that's why I'm saying Israel won the war in the Middle East. The fact that we got back the 20 alive hostages in one day, the way Trump said it will happen, huge. People said it will never happen. They'll keep them forever. They'll murder them. It was unbelievable. It's still unbelievable because that was basically the only leverage they still had. You know
that most people don't understand how we got to the 20 there when it started with 200. There were several deals. This is the thing when you jump around, is people lose context. There were several deals. There was the big 90-day deal that blew up because people like to blame Israel. Like even the left on Israel want to blame Israel for this. But the fact is, Hamas had an agreement that was not enforced by the U.S. And the U.S. said, look. And this is something I've noticed that is the big difference between how the previous administration treated this situation and how the current administration is dealing with the situation. The previous administration is driven by DEI opinions that, they are the natives. They will be this way. You can forgive them. This is the way that was perceived by Blinken and other members of the State Department. There were multiple deals, all of which Hamas broke and Bibi got blamed for. I'm not saying that Bibi's not wrong, that Bibi's right, that Bibi's awesome, but everybody wants to blame him.
But
there were several deals, all of which...
There were ceasefires.
Multiple ceasefires.
During which some hostages were released. And the hostages return at a certain point stopped, and Hamas broke the deal, which led to the break of the ceasefire. And Israel was blamed for it, even though Hamas is the one that stopped bringing back hostages and didn't follow the agreement it signed.
And part of it is because they knew
that they have leverage, and the blame will be on Israel.
It's worse than that.
And not on them.
The first ceasefire was broken because the agreement was to return children and babies.
And the mothers, women and children.
Yes.
And the elderly.
And it broke.
It broke when they decided not to bring back elderly men.
No.
If I remember correctly.
It broke when they didn't return the Beavis family. Because they knew that if that broke out, what happened there, this was really early on in the war, it was in the first 90 days, They knew that if basically all those poor people in Gaza, the world will know that they strangled 2 babies with their bare hands. This is not a good message for to create their propaganda. So you were talking about Israel losing the propaganda war and winning the technical war. That's never the case. My view of the propaganda war, we lost the propaganda war in the protocols of the elders of Zion. People, and this is where the American Jews, what we love to call in a family, that as a Jew, that wants to put their head in the ground and...
The Mamdani voters?
The Mamdani voters. The people that want to put their heads in the ground and pretend that they're not voting for Hitler, they can do what? There were a lot of Jews that voted for Hitler. As you know, Hitler got elected. If you put your vote to people that hate Israel, you need to understand you're voting for an anti-Semite. Because there's no other reason to dislike Israel. As we listen a lot, Lital and I picked up a lot of various podcasts like Trigonometry and things like that. Francis and Constantine were listing out all the big conflicts with casualties that nobody's protesting about. And here peace broke out and people are still protesting this because the fact is that this is driven by people that want to eradicate the state of Israel and people that want to eradicate the state of Israel.
Want to eradicate Jews.
Exactly. So this
thinking differently is
thinking about it
just
in any,
not seeing the reality.
Exactly. And this is the stuff that we need to understand. That we've never lost the propaganda war or the war for... We lost the propaganda war 20 years ago. We lost...
I think that Jews never won a propaganda war. When there was, a rumor in any, Russian village that a kid was murdered, immediately the propaganda was Jews killed it, and it was followed by a pogrom.
Yes.
So we were never capable of winning public opinion against blood libels. I don't think... So that was when people were just rumoring.
Yeah.
Once you have TikTok and BBC and CNN and New York Times putting false accusations, how can we ever win it with the truth? Yep. I mean, the truth is that there is no democracy in the world that went through the stresses that Israel went through in the last 2 years. Is it perfect? No, it's not. No country is perfect. But come and talk with Arab Israelis about their experience in the last 2 years. Many will say it's hard, and they have been through hardship. But all of them will tell you that they have their jobs. They're working everywhere across Israel. I was just a few months ago. Every restaurant has, waitress that's in Tel Aviv that are Arab Israelis. Every cab has Arab Israeli drivers, and they are casual, and they live there. And it is the furthest you can ever imagine about apartheid. There is no apartheid. Jews and Muslims live together everywhere. Is it perfect? No. Are there issues? Of course. The situation is so much better than probably any other democracy, especially thinking about this existential issues that Israel was facing. I think we could never win the propaganda war as Jews. And unfortunately, I don't think we have any chance in the world of,
the thing that needs
global
the thing that needs to change
propaganda
is, I jokingly say that on October 6th, you were telling me to read Beverly D'Angelo, and on October 8th, you became a Trump supporter. So
I read Dara Horn, which I highly recommend.
Yes. So if we go back to chronologically, we had the incident with the heads of the universities, which I think triggered some level of change, because it was very clear that the university system, especially the Ivy Leagues, are broken. Anybody that has not looked at the statistics of the enrollment into the Ivy Leagues can see that they are broken right now because they all have problems. They like to blame Trump for this, but that's not the case. It's very clear that something in the way that they've managed enrollment and managed the demographics and their enforcement of some of these things created a problem, and how they managed who's going to lead the groups, because it's very...
what they're teaching and the education. Like, I think people started realizing that they are indoctrinating to anti-Western civilization ideology.
Yes, and
people were not even aware of it, and now we are aware that there is an agenda, and it's shocking, and it even invaded the STEM departments.
Yes, because people don't want to report even on the real truth in science, because it's very much like Ron's teacher that said that math is an opinion. This is the degradation. So COVID has taught us that the public school system is basically broken, but we thought high school might be better. We learned through this event that the high schools are even more broken, that there's no mentioning of truth anywhere. You discovered about...
There is no teaching for meritocracy. There is, excellence is a bad word, is racist, and all kinds of those things. I think...
But the only way to fix this is to learn about this, and we've learned it through this incident.
Right.
The other big thing that happened that started changing the war, because at some point, 6 months in, all the support that Israel had with people paying lip service on the massacre, people forgot about the massacre. People started inventing lies about the massacre. There were people saying, "Oh, Israel could have stopped it with Iron Dome," because they tell them the story that missiles killed people. They were saying that Apache gunships killed people.
It's amazing. It was the most filmed massacre event by the killers, by the perpetrators. The videos are out there, and still people make up shit.
Yes, which is...
it was streamed live on Facebook and X and Telegram, and there is plenty available horror videos if you want to really get to see this stuff. Which, by the way, they're being viewed again and again and again in the Arab world because it's like snuff. They enjoy it.
The thing that really changed things is the pager incident. You were talking about Hezbollah.
Yeah.
The pager
That was the turning point in the war.
Yes. The pager incident that basically a whole
Operation.
Yes. It was basically a whole bunch of pagers blew up in Hezbollah's people's hands, and then a week later or a couple of days later, a bunch of walkie-talkies.
And then the entire Hezbollah leadership was decapitated.
Yes. And that turned the war, because...
I think there was something a week or two before that Ismail Haniyeh was assassinated in Tehran.
That was later.
Maybe it was later. There were a few events that really shifted.
The pager was first. The pagers were first. And that really changed the way the conflict happened. But also, when you talk about the Ismail Haniyeh incident, the Ismail Haniyeh incident created three things. The Ismail Haniyeh incident, what happened with that is there was an assassination of Ismail Haniyeh in Tehran. And that came, by the way, with them actually coming in to talk about the fact that there is no Hezbollah.
I think it led to the first direct attack coming from Iran on Israel. There was this night in April of like hundreds of missiles and drones sent to Israel, and not just Israel dismantling it, but also some of our neighbors and US, UK troops.
Yes.
So that was also kind of an interesting, that was the first time of direct war between Israel and Iran, not through proxies.
Yes.
Which is what we've seen. I think that was shocking to Israelis, but it also show the Israelis that actually Israel can defend itself against Iran, and I think it prepped it to actually
There was,
attacking
So what
Iran.
happened was this: there was 3 backs and forths, and those were stopped by the Biden administration because after that, Israel took out the radar and took out the way part of the ballistic missile infrastructure of Iran.
Yeah.
Which
It prepared itself
which
to
showed-
have an easier attack on
which showed the world that
Iranian
basically the missile program in Iran is actually paid by the Chinese, because there was the incident of them delivering solid fuel to Iran, which blew up without anybody's help, at least that's what is said, in the middle of the port, that took out all that port, if you remember. But that started the cascade of events that will lead to the Israel and Iran conflict that happened. And by the way, this is another interesting thing. When I saw John Oliver report about this, he was talking about Israel and Bibi, and he said, Israel attacked all its neighbors. It attacked Syria. It attacked Hezbollah. It attacked Iran. When that message is sent by somebody on television, and nobody goes into and asks, have you looked at the facts?
Well, it's John Oliver.
It doesn't matter. It's the fact is,
There are
these-
no facts
there are
in
no
his
facts.
reporting.
yes. And, but it,
Reporting. He will say, I'm a comedian.
yes,
I don't need to report.
yes, but it kind of changed the narrative on a lot of things.
It's always like that. Israel is the aggressor. But I want to...
So if you look at this is the thing that created the beginning of the end.
Israel taking the initiative created the infrastructure to get to where we are at. And I think it is a great fit to the administration we have in the U.S. now that appreciated Israel taking the initiative and actually proving it. If you think about the psyche of the U.S. administration, at least the current one, even those that are opposing support of Israel see the benefit of having an ally that takes U.S. weapons and actually do something with it. You know, most of the allies that U.S. support gets money, gets troops, gets weapon, get a lot of that, but none of them is able to operate it in a way that is effective and is helpful for U.S. agenda. And I think this is a huge thing that people don't think about enough. I want to say that the fact that Israel was so effective in actually decapitating the Syrian regime, because of we actually didn't do anything. We decapitated Hezbollah that made the fall of the Syrian regime, and later completely destroying the nuclear program of Iran. And then with the kind of grand finale of B-2 bombers sent by President Trump finalizing the 12 days war on Iran, I think it's huge in the psychic of, you know, the U.S. administration, in the fact that we can actually have a war that doesn't drag us forever, that we show results on the ground, mission achieved, no nuclear, or at least we kind of brought back the nuclear programs years back. I think this is really big. And if you think about the bigger picture, you know, we're in a world that is on the verge of global war, potentially. We have the tension with China. I think the fact that the U.S. was capable of showing that if there is a real threat, it can act, and the fact that it was not dragged into this terrible war that, you know, all the Tucker Carlson said, we'll have years in Afghanistan, blah, 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 if we attack Iran, and so many American troops will be dead. The fact that we actually did it, I think it's really important in the other arena, especially with China. Like, China should have seen, and I think it saw, and I think this is part of the fact that Trump decided to do it, it saw that the U.S. didn't hesitate. It gave the beat to, and it's kind of like if they think about Taiwan, I don't know, they should think about it. So
let's recap where we are now, and give like 5 points of what we've learned. Each one will give 5 points of what we learned from this and now the global that peace broke out. So for those that live in a cave, President Trump, Jared Kushner negotiated a 21 point program,
20 or whatever
steps, and which started with Bibi apologizing to the Qataris, peace, ceasefire, return of the live hostages, return.
Israel retains about 55% hold the
Gaza
yellow area, whatever, in Gaza, which is good.
Yes, and slowly, we can see that aid is coming in and people are trying to recover. One of the things that is very clear is that Hamas has been killing more people than Israel has in the last couple of weeks, more than Israel has.
Yeah, per day, they now kill
more
than, I think, died in the war.
Yes.
Nobody talks about it.
Of course, nobody talks about it. But here, why do I feel a little bit optimistic about this? This reminds me a lot of the fact that that there is an owner for the process, and
Who's the owner?
Trump. Trump owns the process. Look at the people that are coming to Israel.
Yeah, he sends the troops. Rubio and JD and Kushner is back again and again.
And
yes.
they're not just applying pressure on us, they're also pressure on the Qataris, the Egyptians, and everybody to basically make sure that Hamas will be demilitarized and defanged, and that Gaza will be rebuilt in a path that makes sense, hopefully sooner rather than later. Right now, they're applying pressure on basically saying, look, if Hamas doesn't demilitarize, we'll just rebuild on the Israel-controlled side and let people move to that side. I think they know exactly how to apply the right pressure points on the right people to make things happen. So one learning point is that American decisive action, I think, is important for everything in world peace.
True.
The other thing that we've learned is that I think there was a whole bunch of hidden agendas in American culture that are creating right now an effective culture war. The Israel conflict basically opened up a whole bunch of insanities, like the Queers for Palestine, and the discussion about are we hiring the right people. The fires in LA basically brought to front and center that the fact that places were hiring the wrong people to be firefighters everywhere. And
I don't think it's the same, but that's fine.
It's related because it heightened the people's attention to a lot of those points.
Yeah, once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
You can't unsee
Once you see it about the Israeli issue, queers for Palestine, you start asking yourself, what other craziness is going around? And then you see it all over the place.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Culturally.
And when the elections came along, Jamal Bowen and Cori Bush lost their positions because they didn't realize that they will not maintain. In general, the whole squad got a little bit shaken up because people noticed that the fact is that the people that represent them represent positions that before that nobody actually paid attention. They voted D or R based on automatically. And suddenly people started asking a lot more questions regarding the primaries, asking a lot more questions about education. People are...
It did push the Ds to be way more progressive, and it feels like now the entire party is taken by the progressive ones. So
which is going to be interesting to see in the next election because...
It's gonna, if they don't wake up, it's gonna hurt them.
Yeah.
Maybe not in New York, maybe not, in California, but in most places, it's gonna hurt them.
People forget California was a Republican. So, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. Arnie was a Republican, right?
Oh yeah.
Well,
Arnie was a Republican.
Yeah, of course he was. Although he did challenge his own party frequently, but yes, he was a Republican.
And Reagan, definitely. And he was
Of course.
you had Massachusetts with Republican governor until not
We've had
that long ago.
Yeah, well, no, we've had a couple of Republican governors in Mass in recent history.
Charlie Baker.
I
and
mean,
Mitt Romney.
Yep, Mitt Romney.
well, I want to say something that is also important. I think there were a few points that, led to it. Two important things that I think, which are very different. One is Israel have to have an initiative always. And Israel cannot go back to, we'll be fine. Let's just manage. Let's not. No. Israel needs to have an initiative and lead the initiative and not be afraid to do it for the future. That's for its sake. That's number one. And number two, we always need a good Jewish guy sitting in the right place to help us out. Thank you, Jared Kushner. You said I said he's like Jewish Mordecai from Purim.
I said he's
and
Queen,
you said that
he's
he's
Queen Esther.
Queen Esther. But basically, I think that Witkoff couldn't bring the agreement. He was there for a while negotiating with Qatar and Egypt and Hamas, and it didn't lead to anything because he has no understanding, and I don't think he has standing with those people. And he doesn't have trust with the Israelis, which is another problem. Kushner has this ability to make shit happen in the Middle East. He did the magic of
We need to
the
wrap
Abraham
this up, by
Accord.
the way, at some point. So
Was that?
we need to
Yeah,
eventually wrap it up.
So I'm wrapping it up. That's
Yes.
what I want to say. That's my point. I think peace broke out, whatever. It didn't broke. There is no peace. Okay, let's start with that. No peace. But we got back the hostages and things are moving into a different direction, broadening the Abraham Accords thanks to one person and one only, and it's Jared Kushner.
Okay.
He is the genius. That's my
So
2 cents.
for me, couple of more observations. One is thanks to these incidents. Now we applied for a license to carry, so I can get my Second Commandment rights. Yes, I am
Do
very.
you really need to say it on
Yes, of course.
public?
Yes, the devil's
radio?
right hand. I'm gonna sing to myself, Johnny Cash is the devil right hand all day long.
We could do an episode about this
Yes.
LTC class. It
We
was
should
amazing.
definitely do an
It was
episode about that.
wow.
That requires an episode on its own.
It's really good
Yes.
and interesting.
Yes, and we've learned, as I mentioned, about the education system and its failures, and I am very optimistic with regards to where things are going.
Me too.
So
Well,
let's wrap up with an optimistic view that
maybe a optimistic view. One last thing. Israel is a powerhouse of people, and the ability of people to wake up in the morning after, sleepless night of going to the shelter 5 times and then building hell of products. And during the war, companies like Wiz being acquired for unbelievable amount of money just shows and we've seen the technologies coming out of, and there's going to be so much innovation. There's going to be so much prosperity. Bet on the Israeli economy. That's the time.
Yep.
Like, seriously, bet on the Israeli economy. It's
Awesome.
going to boom.
And last but not least, you need to ask yourself, if you're still anti-Israel now that peace broke, are you not an anti-Semite? If you're walking around in Boston in a kafia, who are you supporting? If you are still yelling free Palestine, free from whom? And if you're Pedro Sanchez, is it time for you to move on and maybe fix Spain rather than deal with our shit? Maybe we should bomb
Macron.
Maybe we should bomb the Sagrada Familia. Maybe then they'll have the excuse of why they haven't finished building it. So, jokes aside, by the way, Barcelona is beautiful.
Yeah, but Europe is dead. Okay.
Let's peace is here. I think
Europe is dead. Israel is alive. All good.
people need to ask themselves where the positions are now that peace broke out and why they're still yelling.
invest in Israeli companies. You'll
Yes.
make tons of money.
Yes. Cool. Awesome.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone. We know it's been a while. We are very happy that things are shaping in the right direction. The Didi and Lital Show is a weekly podcast. Please rank,
Rate and
review
reviews.
us, share with friends. We'll be back next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.